Call a regular city council meeting to order. Clearlake City Hall Council Chambers 14050 Olympic Drive, Clearlake, California, Thursday, May 19th at 6 p.m. And we have a roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Overton. Here. Councilmember Kramer.
Here.
Councilmember Claffey.
Here.
And Mayor Slutin.
Here.
And Vice Mayor Purdock is absent.
All right, we'll do a pledge of allegiance. I'll start this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So stay standing, and remember the over 1 million people who died with the last 2 years from COVID. All right, thank you. We have an agenda. Are there any changes to the agendas, Mr. Flora?
No changes, Mr. Mayor.
All right, can I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Kramer and a second by Councilman Claffey. We'll go to our electronic voting. All right, Madam Clerk, could you tell me the result of the vote?
Motion passes with a unanimous vote in favor.
We'll go to presentations. First presentation is of May adoptable dogs. There we go.
Good evening, members of the council. Today's let him work his way up here. Today's adoptable dog is Captain. He's a 2-year-old male. He is a cattle dog mix. He is currently neutered. His vaccinations are all current, and he has a microchip. He is a very playful dog. He loves playing with other dogs and is really good on a leash and smart. If you, for further information, please contact the Clearlake Animal Shelter staff at 707-273-99440 or see Captain in person. You can visit the Clearlake Animal Shelter at 6820 Old Highway 53 in Clearlake, Monday through Friday from 12 to 4 p.m. by appointment. Oh. And he really likes dog treats.
We noticed.
I just have to say, nice shirt, Charmaine.
All right, and for the animal statistics for the year to date, we've currently taken in 140 dogs into the shelter. 128 of those dogs have left the shelter. 74 have went to rescues. 34 were returned to their owners. 19 were adopted, and 1 was euthanized. We have a live release rate of 99.2%.
Wow.
Thank you.
All right. We go to the presentation of a proclamation declaring May 21st to May 27, 2022 as Safe Boating Week. Whereas in 2020, 767 people died in boating-related accidents in the United States. 534 of these faculties were due to drowning, and 450 of these boaters would be alive today if they had worn life jackets. Whereas there is evidence that boating activity rose significantly during the pandemic, resulting in an increase in boating accidents and fatalities in the United States. And whereas Lake County Flotilla has donated to Clear Lake State Park children life jackets to be loaned for daily use at the swimming beach, with the lifeguard being trained by the flotilla in the proper fitting. Whereas the flotilla is now in partnership with Clearlake State Park as ambassadors of boating and marine safety. And whereas the U.S. Coast Guard limitations due to the pandemic for all flotillas have been eased, and Flotilla 8-8 of Lake County will continue its effort to educate the boating public by resuming safety patrols, offering boating classes, free vessel safety checks, and encourage the public to practice safe boating habits and to wear your life jackets. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Clearlake does hereby designate the week of May 21st through May 27, 2022 as National Safe Boating Week in Clearlake, and urges all users of Clearlake, Lake Pillsbury, Blue Lakes, and Indian Valley Reservoir to safeguard their lives by wearing life jackets when boating and exercising safe boating practices. And boat responsibly, wear your life jacket. And this proclamation is signed by me, Mayor, as of today. Thank you for coming.
May I say a
give you
few
the-
words?
I will come and give you this proclamation, and then you can say a few words. Go now. Say a few words, please.
I'm Dorothy DeLope. I'm a Public Affairs Officer, and this is Art Martinez, who's our Communication Services. He also is with the Dock Walkers program, which we have, and I'd like to inform you that the flotilla had a booth at the Hope for Health Fair, and we weighed and fitted 175 youngsters with free life jackets. And our main concern is that we keep our children safe because they are our future. And I ask Art to wear his ODs so you will recognize him with or without the life jacket when he's out doing dock walkers, vessel exams, or whatever, so that you would know who he was. And that's why we're both dressed this way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We saw the booth, and I
Did
saw
you?
a lot of people going out there, so great job there. Thank you. I think we need a quick picture here. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, the next presentation is a proclamation declaring May 2022 as California Tourism Month. Whereas tourism plays a critical role in Lake County and the state's economic prosperity, and whereas a robust travel industry provides significant economic benefits to the entire state, generating more than $144 billion in visitor spending in 2019. And whereas travel has been the foundation of a healthy workforce, serving one of the largest private sector's employers in California, supporting 1.2 million jobs in 2019. And whereas spending by travelers benefits states and local governments alike, generating $12.2 billion in tax revenue in 2019 to support essential public services and programs that benefits all California. And whereas the COVID-19 pandemic devastated every sector of the travel industry with staggering economic impacts affecting every community in California, including Lake County. And whereas California lost $79.8 billion in visitor spending in 2020, a 55% decline from the previous year, and lost $6.1 billion in local and state revenues, a 50% drop. And whereas nearly 1 million California working in travel and hospitality lost their jobs in the first month of the pandemic, the employment sector remains by far the hardest hit in California. And whereas in 2020, Lake County lost $47 million in travel-generated spending, tax receipts, and employment. Whereas the state tourism sector began its recovery in 2021 but remains well short of 2019 levels in employment, visitor spending, and taxes generated. And whereas Lake County saw travel-generated spending, tax receipts, and employment return to 2019 levels, and whereas the California legislation in 2017 declared every May as California Tourism Month to celebrate the positive economic impact of the tourism in California. And whereas California can help out their fellow Californians back to work and support the recovery of local businesses by traveling California. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Clearlake does hereby proclaim May 2022 as Tourism Month in Clearlake and urge the residents of Clearlake to join in recognizing the critical role this industry plays in Lake County, dated May 19, 2022. Signed by me. And you're up next, so perfect timing.
Thank you very much, Mayor Slutin.
Now, let me give you this
Perfect.
proclamation.
Yeah, please. Larry, you want me? Sorry, we're a seat. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, thank you.
very much, Mayor Slutin. So how are we going to do? Are you on with the presentation? Okay, and it's behind me then, right? All right, so that's always the.
So now we have the presentation of the Lake County Tourism Improvement District Annual Report.
Thank you, Mayor and supervisors. Really appreciate, or council members, I really appreciate the invitation to present the 2021 annual report for Lake County's tourism. What a difference a year makes. We were here last year, and the news wasn't quite as good. We're happy to report, I think you'll see today, that there's some nice developments in tourism in the county of Lake in the last year. Let's start right off with our board. The reason I start with the board is because this is a board who has been, actively forming this district as a startup from the very beginning. In 2019, most of the board members have been with it since the very beginning, and they have been a great board. We have literally in 4 years only missed a quorum in one meeting. So it's a great active board. I want you to know some of the names, some of the new names. Christy White, she's the new chair of the board. She's a short-term rental owner in Kelseyville. We have Larry here from Twin Pine Casino, who is the former chairman of the board. Twin Pine has been a great partner with us and a great contract with those guys on the TID. Lynn Butcher is treasurer. Marianne Schmidt, who sold the lodge at Blue Lakes but stayed on the board. She's good information, and she's also a good source. Wilda Schock. You can't really do anything in the county without Wilda. She is absolutely my go-to for a lot of questions. And we've got, I'll skip around because we've got both Alan and David in this room here that serve on the board, and they're both great references or great folks to reach into. Jaime at Robinson Rancheria, so we've got those guys. Susan Parker, who is now the interim county chief administrative officer. I think she's pretty busy over there. Priya, who owns the Skylark Lodge, Skylark Resort, and then Jitu and Vikash. Both of them, one is a Motel 8 and the other one is the Anchorage Inn in Lakeport. So a great board, and I wanted to pay tribute to those guys and thank them all because it's been a tough one. 2021 revenue, let's just get right down to some of the numbers because this kind of gives some insight. First off, I want to just show you that the number one contribution comes from Lake County, the County of Lakes TID. A little over $200,000 comes out of TID on our budget for Lake County. Clearlake is number two, and I wanted to thank you guys. You guys are probably the easiest and the most timely, without a doubt, at $76,000 in 2021. We don't go looking. The check gets deposited, and we want to thank everybody for that. That's huge because we literally go begging for for the other two, and it's kind of frustrating. Lakeport TID was at $39,000 in 2021, and then the county gave us back some TOT dollars, which was $117,000. That number is going to be a bit lower this year, based upon kind of an agreement, and so we'll be down at $78,000 for that in 2021. Middletown Rancheria, as I mentioned, Larry's group down there contributed $20,000. in addition to sponsoring a billboard in San Francisco. So a really good partner out of the Middletown Rancheria. And then Robinson Rancheria pays us 1.5%, a voluntary agreement, and it was about $7,800. So we've got contributions from everybody. We're missing a couple. We're missing one major Indian gaming casino, which is the Canacte Harbor, Canacte Vista? Canacte Vista, I'm sorry. We haven't really made any inroads there, but we'll keep trying. The next slide, Mayor Sutton in the proclamation really referenced the economic impact of travel in California. And this is the economic impact of travel in Lake County. And you'll see from that diagram there that we really bounced hard in 2020. We lost a lot. And we're back up to pretty much 2019 levels. About $175 million is the total travel-related spending, and that includes, so it's often said, and it's often known in hospitality, that for every dollar a person spends on an accommodation, they will spend $3 more in your community. They will go out to restaurants, they will go rent boats, they will go into retail, they will spend their money. So that is why that number is $175 million, plus their taxes that they will pay. So it's a big number for us. A little under 1,000, a little like 1,100 workers kind of contribute to travel and tourism in Lake County. The other bar chart, or the circle chart you see there, is our share of the North Coast. We're in a rural region with Visit California, that includes Del Norte up there at the very top of our county, Humboldt, and Mendocino. And unfortunately, we're about 15% of all the travel spending that gets spent in those 4 counties. We are not even larger than Del Norte, which kind of blows me away. So we've got work to do here. We really do. There's more dollars for us in Lake County in tourism. We can do better. But it's a nice kind of snapshot of what it really means to the overall economy of Lake County. So let's kind of get into some of the nitty-gritty. The next is our website, which is our #1 portal to bring a visitor in to the county. We really killed it last year. Our page views were 414,000, which was a 58% increase over 2020. So we really drove a lot more people to that website. New users were about 79%. So a lot of new eyeballs, introducing a lot of new people to Lake County. Average time spent is 1.5 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually a pretty good number. We've got folks that are coming on, they're spending time, they're looking around, they're interested in what we have up here. I threw in some of the top pages and page views in the cities because people sometimes ask, well, what do you advertise for? So if somebody searches campgrounds and RV parks in our zip codes that we're advertising in, they get served a Lake County search banner. So those are some of the terms that we're using to draw people into our website. And our top cities, we're proud to say, are San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, your town over here, your city, Los Angeles, Lakeport, Santa Rosa, Roseville, and Modesto. So we've grown that a lot. Organic social is, our organic social is brilliant. I'll just say it because I don't do it. I oversee Karen, who does it, but we have really good organic social. Karen Pavoni is great at really catching what's going on. She does a good job of circling the lake and understanding what are the things and the drivers that will get people excited and into the county. I think it helps a lot of local people feel good about where they live. But we did 33,000, we passed over 33,000 Facebook users, which was about a 9%, a little over a 9% increase last year, but we'd grown 120% in the prior year when that's kind of all we focused on during COVID. Instagram followers, we passed 4,000 this year, so we're happy with that. And again, top cities are important cities for us to be reaching. And can't say enough good stuff about social and organic social. She has a really good fun time with it. And so our monthly blog and newsletter, David. I love our monthly blog and newsletter. We just dropped our newsletter today, and it's the best one we've ever done. It takes time to figure these things out, but we have a really good e-newsletter that went out to about 8,000 people today. And I've already started to get emails back from locals that got it. And so I'm pretty proud of it. But we grew our contacts a little over 14% last year, so we're growing the list. There's a lot more room for us to go, and we're putting a lot of energy into it, so we want to grow it. Our average open rate is around 18%, which is a little under. It's usually about 20%, but I think we could do better there. But our clicks and our click rates are good. We are, about 3.4 clicks happen from all those emails, and those all click back to our website and give us traffic. And the best stat is that those people that go from our newsletter to our website spend 8 minutes on our website, average of 8 minutes, and that's huge in the world of like anybody spending time. So pretty proud of that, and we're going to continue to do it. And today's, like I said, newsletter, I felt like we hit like a whole new high. We're finally kind of gelling into how it looks and how to like take a piece of the county and tell our story and tell it beautifully and interestingly, and so I'm pretty proud of that. Paid search, it's kind of the unsung, it's not very sexy, but we do a lot in paid search. It was like our largest area of advertising outside of the billboards. Paid search is what you do to get people to your website that you are interested or are going to be interested. 1.3 million impressions, delivered 86,000 clicks to the website, so it's a chunk. The click-through was huge, 6%. Average click-through is about 1%. So it's actually a very good number. Top performing keywords are hotels in California, camping in California. So we buy groups, top performing ad groups, and these are just your top performers. And we buy hundreds of these, and every week we look at which ones are performing and which ones aren't performing. We throw them out, and we put more money behind the stuff that's working. So, and it's a constant change with Google. They're constantly changing their algorithm, changing the way people can target. So they never let you kind of sit still. And that's a big kudos to the agency for staying on top of that, because it's not very fun, not my fun stuff. Paid social, so not all of our social is organic. We do pay for social. We put our advertising basically in front of an audience outside of Lake County. You would never see it here in the county, but we buy a lot of paid social, and again, a lot of impressions, 2.7 million impressions, and delivering 54,000 clicks to the website. So 1.9% click-through, which industry benchmark is about a little under 1%. So a nice click-through on our paid social, and we could be really beautiful with our paid social, all the bass fishing, all the hiking, all the beautiful, all the beauty that we have, we just pour it out there, and it really looks good. It's very pretty, but unfortunately, none of us really get to see it. So I left it back there. I did bring you some, the magazine. So we did high-profile print again last year, the California Visitor Guide. It's kind of the industry standard to be in, and we ran a full page. You'll see it right there. It's a couple drinking wine at a vineyard, and it says exactly like nowhere else. We love to play up on our difference, what makes us different here, because that's kind of what we own, and we can have that. We don't want to be like everybody else. We love to be different. This is great. Went out to about 1.8 million households in the West, and it gets perfect bound into magazines like Travel and Leisure, Better Homes and Garden. So it's a really nice, viable audience. It's a really great place for us to see, and it's really important for us to be seen as a player by Visit California. So there's a little bit of politics that take place there too, but it's important that we be seen there. Next, out of home, as you know, we ran several billboards. We had 2 beautiful billboards in San Francisco that were like really high visibility. And they ran throughout most of 2021. We took a break in the winter, and then we went back again this spring. But that delivered over 12 million impressions, and those boards ran both in San Francisco and in Sacramento. And I think you've seen the creative. We'll just click on those. First one is the San Francisco creative. So that was the summer board, Into the Blue Lakes. He's going. Clearly different, Lake County. Find Lake County. We have our own URL on there, so when people type in Find Lake County, we know that they're coming in after seeing a billboard. And then we put the country back in wine country, that is a picture of my husband and I drinking wine in the same car. We use all local models too. We're good about employing folks locally. No, it's all pro bono. So we put the wine country back in wine country, and these boards we geofence. So there is the ability for anybody driving by these boards for us to grab their marker on their phone if they've got their GPS on, and then we can deliver them display advertising. And we know exactly who we're delivering, and we can see exactly how that display advertising works for us as well. So the geofencing is a nice bonus. The next billboards were our Sacramento Boards. You might recognize Alan and his family there, and Clearly Different. That was our summer board. We've used them, again, all locals. And then the couple, again, we ran this fall. Those boards are going to come down in in about a month, and we're going to be changing our strategy a bit. But the out-of-home was really good. We got a lot of feedback. We got a lot of people sending pictures to their parents after they saw them in the city. I mean, it's one of those things that just makes people feel good, and it makes them feel like they're part of something that they can be really, really proud of. So we're happy with that, in addition to the 12 million positive impressions that we created amongst very important audience. So what's happening in 2022? I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a quickie on what's happening then. The very first thing we're doing is, first thing is we have a new visitors map. So as everybody maybe remembers, the destination magazine that we had that was really beautiful was really expensive and lost a lot of money. And so we're not doing that anymore. We're going to do things that don't lose money. And so this map here was 100% advertising supported. So it paid for itself. And not only did it pay for itself, but it's a nice map. The one thing that everybody said about the Destination magazine was they needed the maps to show people where to go and what to do. So the maps were really key in the destination. So we took the one part of that and we created a map that has some beautiful advertising on it. Really kind of puts the best of Lake County right out there for folks to see. And then on the back, nobody can see. On the back, we have 51 things to do in Lake County. 51 things to do, and they're everything from eat, sip, dance, your concerts down here at Austin Park. So we wanted just to tell people what are the things that you can do when you come to Lake County. And I guess the map is nice, but the best part about the map isn't that it pays for itself, is that most of these maps don't even reside in Lake County. 65,000 of these maps are sitting up and down the I-5 corridor in every hotel and every motel. They're in the Sonoma, the new Charles Schultz Airport. Not as new yet, but they're in the old one. They're in all the California visitor centers. So we took the majority, 65,000 of these, and we're putting them out of county. We're a road trip destination. We need to be where people are road tripping. So we think we're in the right places, and we do have 5,000 copies here. And Colleen, I gave some today for the Clearlake Chamber, and we're going to get them all around to our folks in our stakeholders and all the restaurants and everywhere. So pretty happy with the map. Oh, you can go to the next one. And then the next one. So a booking widget, it's kind of a super boring thing to talk about, but it's a really big move for our website. It's pretty much where destination marketing websites are headed. It's kind of state of the art for a destination marketing website to have a booking widget. And what a booking widget is and I got to play with it today because it's still in test and it's really looking cool, is a place on our homepage right at the very top that somebody can throw in 2 dates or 4 dates or a week of when they would possibly be in Lake County. And every one of the lodging, hospitality, all of our partners will come up with those that are available. And you can dice it by hotels. You could just say motels. I just want a vacation rental. I need dog friendly. I need cannabis, just kidding. But that was kind of one of the things that, anyway, I had these people talking to me about that. Like, I don't know about that. Larry, we're gonna send them to Larry's hotel. They're all going to Twin Pine. It's going to be a cool thing. We're going to have a really good insight into what people are doing. We're going to have a new dashboard essentially, so we can understand how people are kind of moving through our website. We're never going to know once they go to book the place because we actually have to toss them to the booking engine of the lodging facility, and we won't know that for sure, but we think it's a really good move, and it's kind of like, again, I said, state of the art of where we need to be in terms of websites. North of Ordinary, That's our group, rural group that is Humboldt, Del Norte, Mendocino, and Lake. It's a great group of people. They're really smart. They're way ahead of us over there in Mendocino. So I use them all the time. They are like consultants for me, I can call them, and they're very, very helpful. And we do a lot of marketing together. They do deliver about, I think they're the 15th largest, or our North of Ordinary refers about, is like number 15 in terms of referring people to our website. So we're getting ready to head to the Travel and Trade Show this weekend. We bought a booth that Lake County could never have afforded on its own, so the four of us combined, and we bought one booth. And we're all gonna have like our little sections there. I've got this giant map that you can see unfurled there. That's gonna be behind me. I'm gonna be handing out maps, and we're gonna do a sweepstake for a 2-night stay at the Tallman Hotel. And then each county has their own 2-night stay. So we're gonna gather a ton of emails, a lot of emails. And so that's gonna be our first travel-related show that we've ever done, that I've ever done for sure. And I don't know that San Francisco, I don't know that we ever went to the Travel and Leisure Show in San Francisco. It's a bit pricey to do on your own. So that's happening. And then next, so this isn't a big issue for you guys, but it's a big issue for the county, and it's a really big issue for the town of Lakeport. The fastest growing category of hospitality today is short-term rentals. And we do not have good compliance in Lake County. We were late to the table in terms of creating a voluntary collection agreement with either the two largest platforms, VRBO or Airbnb. And so and all of our neighboring counties actually have them in some way, shape, or form. I'm pleased to say that Patrick Sullivan has gone before the board, and they've agreed to move forward with this and to invest the time into rewriting our ordinance so that it requires for the county, you have to have a certificate, a TOT certificate. So in order to be on the two platforms, they're going to have a TOT certificate. And we're gonna have to work like mad with both of these short-term rentals companies, because they don't like to work with people. They kind of see themselves as freewheeling, and they're very hot to trot. So it's not going to be a done deal, but we really want to get more compliance because we're missing a lot of money. A lot of money just doesn't get charged. And the other thing this will do is it'll allow anybody that is registered with their short-term rental to charge at the time of booking for the taxes. So it goes right up just like the hotels. If you want to book a 2-night stay in the house over in the Oaks, you book the 2-night stay, and it's already, the tax is already in the bill. The person is paid for it. And we really want to get there, and we're not there. You guys don't have a ton of those here in Clearlake. Lakeport has a lot, and they really haven't done anything. And the county is trying to do something about it. So we're just going to keep hammering on it because it needs to be equitable, and we need better compliance. So that's happening. Last but not least, it has been a really fun 4 years, but believe it or not, we only created this district for 5. Can you believe that? Well, I couldn't when I found that out either, but the truth of the matter is we could only create the district at the very beginning for 5 years. So we need to create another district, meaning we have to go through the exact same process we went through 4 years ago. And we've started that process this month. We've hired a consulting firm that took us through the process the first time, Civitas. They're good, they know what they're doing, but we need to go out and hustle to get the votes to get this done. It's a lot of time and it's a lot of money. So that's the way it goes, but the beauty of it is the next district that we can form for 10 years. And we are certainly going to be doing that. So that's where we are in 2022. Last but not least, I just wanted to thank you for your support. You guys have been great partners. And I would love to answer any questions about any of the stuff that we've done or doing. And again, thank you for your time.
Councilman Craven?
Yeah, I'm thinking what I want to ask. Obviously, the condition of the lake, has that made your job much more difficult? And, or how are you getting around that?
You know, our biggest, our largest post, social media post in 2021 was a post about the algae in the lake. Got over 18,000 impressions. And they were the most positive comments you've ever seen. People loved the understanding of what was happening. So we have to lean into it. We can't run from it. We have to just talk about what our lake is about and how it works. I present lake recreation as the Blue Lakes, because that is the lake recreation. If I have somebody staying in my facility, I always tell them if they want to go swim or they want to play in the water, that they should go to the Blue Lakes. And it's hard to go to the Blue Lakes, but that's kind of what I say, unless they're going to get on a boat and get out in the middle of Clearlake. So it's a tough one. I mean, we are called Lake County, so the expectation is that there is going to be this, this amazing lake they can use, and there is for bass fishing, and we play that up, but we know we're going to have a tough summer.
Well, there was a day when swimming, boating, skiing, sailing were all probably more popular than fishing was.
I bet.
I'd love to see it, a little more of a balance come back. Is there any, what do you think about the possibility of that?
You know, we're just going to have to kind of watch the lake level. I mean, last year we had to run warnings on our website that most of the launches were closed. I mean, we have to be really transparent with our audience about what's happening. That's the most important thing. But it's hard. It is a hard one to deal with. I wish we weren't, but I've studied some of what they do in Florida at some of the beaches when they get red tide. There's a lot of beautiful beach communities in Florida that close, on Memorial Day weekend, because the red tide comes in and nobody can get in that water. And that's actually where the idea came, to put the warning sign at the top of our, not the warning, but the scrolling sign at the top of our website. So we're just going to have to continue to figure it out.
Okay, I guess you are aware that we're doing something with Austin's Beach to make it more usable
Be great.
summer. Hopefully David and Alan have kept you up to date on what we're doing. So.
You guys are doing a lot of great stuff over here. We're super psyched. We'd love to see another hotel property in the county too. We need more rooms. We really need more rooms. There's demand. We don't have it. We would love to see that happen as well. That would be huge.
Lodging and more eateries. Anyhow, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilman Kramer.
Councilman Claffey, it looked like you were.
I was going to let Councilwoman Overton speak if she wanted to. But I just want to say thank you, Brian. You're incredible. You're the exact person that we need running this program. You mentioned there's demand. We're fourth of the North Coast counties. Is that because we don't have the facilities? Is that because there's not enough awareness? What do you think the priority should be?
I would say we don't have a freeway. They've got 101 that goes straight up through Ukiah and through Mendocino and through Humboldt. It's just so much easier for a road trip up there. We're a difficult road trip destination. We're just difficult. People have a hard time getting over the mountain or even knowing to go over the mountain. Highway 20 is where we could do a better job, and I've tried to figure out, I think we were talking about it, but I kind of got nowhere, trying to do something with the Highway 20 corridor and work with some of our West Coast counties to really kind of play up the Highway 20 corridor from the mountains to the coast and, stop along the way. We just don't have the traffic. We don't have it. And I think Del Norte does well with Oregon on their top, and that's probably what pushes them over.
If you see on Highway 1, you see Highway 101, you see a sign Lake County Resorts. Mm-hmm. Is that something you're going to do in Williams, right off Highway 5?
It would be nice, yeah. I mean, that's kind of dealing with Caltrans if best. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff that we could do. The other thing that our truth is we're really limited by what we've got. But we're trying to leverage every bit of it. But I would blanket the High 5 corridor with, ways to find Lake County. It would be really a great thing to do. I think we would benefit and show them all the cool stuff that we've got, but it's just really, really, really out of our range.
Your social media contacts, sounds like you're doing a great job with that from what you spoke. I think that's certainly a step in the right direction to helping us. Now we have to get more water in the lake.
More rooms, more water in the lake,
And
and
more
just
rooms.
really clean up everything. I mean, the county, it's been sitting there for 2 months. You come over Highway 29 and there's a burned out RV right as you come into the county. I'm like, oh, okay, really? It's been there for 2, maybe 3 months. Get rid of the RV. That's not what the first thing somebody coming into the county should see, with a beautiful vineyard and Mount Conocti behind it. But, here's this burned out RV. So there's some stuff we could do to help ourselves.
Great. Any more questions here from the council?
One last question. For the great work you're doing on social media channels, if citizens take really great photos, how can they get them to you to publish?
It would be really through Karen. Karen, or they can send it to info@Discover Your Lake. I'm getting a lot more of those now. We're just got a bunch of car show stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, it's info@Discover Your Lake, or if they can just, Karen is pretty visible on social. She's pretty easy to find. And we're always looking for stuff to cover you guys folks around the lake. We want to tell the whole story, and it's hard sometimes. I mean, we struggled trying to put together the Middletown. I'm sorry, Larry, but we struggled with the Middletown focus. It was hard. There's not a picture online of Middletown that isn't just burned to the ground. You couldn't find anything. It's like, oh, this is tough. So we struggle sometimes with things like that, but any photograph you can send, we love it. We need assets.
Great.
Possibility of getting one of those, each of those things.
I do.
He wants a
Have
map.
stacked
Here
there.
for folks, maps, and you can.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for your presentation.
All right. Well, thank you all very much
Thanks,
again for your
Brian.
support.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to our public comment section. This is a time for any member of the public to address the city council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter and jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the council or staff to discuss issue brought forward under public comment. The council cannot take action on non-agenda items, and concerns may be referred to staff or placed on the next available agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on each agenda item, and comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. Okay, I have here Mr. David Hughes on moratorium on any cannabis cultivation in Burns Valley watershed. Got 3 minutes, David.
You could read that? Hi.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure it out, but I did figure it out.
Chairman Slooten and the city council and staff. First of all, I'm here representing the Burns Valley homeowners. There's about 40 of us that have gotten together. And I wanted to let you know that we had a successful appeal on the cultivation on 2050 and 2122 Augulin Canyon Road. We appealed because of water. We also appealed the 1,000 feet setback that the city council sent a letter of support on that we objected to. It was a 4-to-1 vote, and our main concern again was the water. And I want you to know this is across the street from 2185 Augulin Canyon Road, which is in the city limits, which we also appealed, but it didn't seem like we had an expert. So we hired an expert for the 2050 appeal. His time amounted to over $10,000. Fortunately, our contract was less than that, but he spent over 10 grand helping us with our appeal. So that tells you what it takes for the person on this side to fight things. There's also a use permit application in for 2250 Augulin Canyon Road, which is in the city limits. We were there last week at the Planning Commission meeting. We asked them to continue it till next Tuesday, and we'll be there next Tuesday. Hopefully I'll have some ideas from our expert that we hired. It's our understanding that the city council members should have received a letter from a planning commissioner that was at the meeting last Tuesday. I think suggesting a moratorium in the Augulin Canyon area on agriculture and cannabis cultivation. We support that, especially with the drought and the situation that's happening with the water. We would also, so we would like the council to consider a focused moratorium in the Burns Valley watershed, Ogulin Canyon area. And that, again, goes up Highway 53 on both sides, almost to Highway 20, comes down, passes Ogulin Canyon Road, swings in, and comes out on the lake. The watershed actually eventually flows into the lake. So we'd like you to consider bringing that before the city council, along with revisiting your policy on the 1,000 feet that the city council sent a letter of support to the county on. So I'll leave it at that and appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. All right, you made it. We have one mailed in. Madam Clerk, could you read that post? You'll get next.
We have 2 emailed comments
Okay.
for public comment. The first is from Ed Roby, and that comment is, I want to voice my support to the suggestion that the city place a moratorium on cannabis and other agricultural projects in the Ogulin Canyon area of Clearlake until the current drought conditions are over. The second is from Deb Sally, who states, thank you for listening to our concerns. It is my understanding that Planning Commissioner Stewart has suggested a temporary moratorium until all new wells or projects that could negatively impact our water basin. I am in favor of such a moratorium. I also suggest this continue until either we have 2 years of rainfall that meets or exceeds our 25 to 35 inch average, or until there has been sufficient monitoring data accumulated to show insignificant changes in the water tables. Monitoring and mitigating the impacts to domestic well viability and, in reality, all water users is imperative in having Clearlake continue to be a viable and hopefully vibrant community. As I have previously stated, the use of data from years past is unlikely to give an accurate prediction of the ongoing impacts. There are a lot more agricultural projects in the watershed area, and rainfall averages over the past 15 years have dropped over 25% when compared to the prior 15-year average. I believe it is necessary for all of the residents and business owners, managers in Clearlake to do our best to decrease water use and increase monitoring where possible. That gives us the best chance of not having to truck in water as the well and surface water levels continue to drop over the summer and autumn months, as is the normal situation. We don't want to experience the challenges that some of our neighbors in Mendocino County had to when they ran out of water last year. I ask that you act to protect your citizens' access to water. Please put a temporary moratorium on new wells or commercial projects in the city of Clearlake. That concludes the 2 emailed comments.
Please.
Okay, I'm Vicki Crystal, and as most of you know, I've lived here for over 40 years. Worked and raised my son here, and we have been very fortunate with this county. I have loved it so very much, and when I retired, I decided I needed to give back to what I have received from the county over all these years. I have many friends from all around the lake, and on Saturday, I represented 2 of the 3 nonprofits that I sit on boards with, and attended the Blue Zones, which is an amazing event. And which I love the fact that they're dealing with the health of the people and the county here. I probably spoke to over 100 people or more that day for both clubs, shared with them the wonderful things that are happening in Clearlake, as well as the naysayers, which of course all of you know there are many. Much of the conversations went to the drought and the water issues in Lake County, as well as the state, and many of those I spoke to felt it critical that the county does impose a moratorium immediately. on all ag and cannabis grows in our county due to the accumulative effect of the drought, vineyards, cannabis, illegal or legal, drawing our water sources. I strongly feel it should be no more than it should be no more than a year and much longer if it's necessary, so that we as a city and community can get a better handle on the overall cumulative effects which is playing on our water source. So that's why I'm here tonight, to ask the City Council to become proactive on this issue and impose the moratorium in the city of Clearlake. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have any additional people that want to? One do-over, that's it, David.
I had 2 seconds left. I just wanted to mention, I forgot to. Supervisor Sabatier had gone to the Board of Supervisors suggesting a moratorium on ag and cannabis cultivation countywide. That was shot down. I have sent an email to the Chairman Crandall, asking that they consider a focused moratorium in the Burns Valley watershed, Alguin Canyon area, until at least we get a better handle on what's happening, or at least till the drought's over. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you. We have a public comment from Mr. Willie Long.
That's correct.
Come on up, sir.
Thank you. Mayor, City Council, other officials. First of all, I want to start off by saying good news. I got in touch with code enforcement. I only got 3 minutes, so I got to go through it as quick as I possibly can. I had a talk with a code enforcement officer about a month ago. Within the day, he did a drive-by, saw what the problem was, took care of it. I appreciated that. Okay. Now to my issue. It relates to the police department and enforcement. I have a second grader that goes to Lower Lake Elementary, and I deliver him to school every day. While I'm in that parking lot, I'm watching the cars. Every second, the 4th car has a broken front windshield. We all know that's a violation of the vehicle code. You can't have restricted vision, and you're subject to be cited immediately by doing that. What nobody's ever tried to do, as far as I see in this county, and this county has a very, very bad problem of it, is that you don't go after the perpetrators. The perpetrators in Lake County are your 4-wheel drive vehicles who do not have mud flaps. They look like Tonka toys. The tires are so wide on the side of them. And they don't mind going to the edge of the road to kick up the dirt to throw these rocks and stuff in these cars. I really feel that somewhere along the line that on the enforcement side, because that is a vehicle code violation also, that on the enforcement side, these people need to be taken over to the side. They need to be cited. They need to be made to fix these cars. They're unsafe. They're causing nothing but havoc. The people don't have the money to pay for these windows. I just paid $900 to get a windshield done. I'm lucky enough to have insurance that covered most of it. Most people don't. I would just like to see something done on that, on a proactive side. Another thing too on that is it wouldn't be, I feel, a bad idea to go to the tire companies. You can't make them not do work. But I remember back when on motorcycles, when we changed our exhaust systems, CARB made those people give us sign-off receipts saying that off-highway use only. They need to be notified that if we'll put the tire on, but understand if you go out there and you get cited for having an illegally set up vehicle, it's your responsibility. You take responsibility. Something needs to be done on that. I have one other thing if I got time left. A couple years ago, you guys, the city, and this goes at the planner and manager, you guys expanded from Target, from Walmart up to 18th and 18th up to 40th. You did a lot of really nice work. at a new highway and so on and so forth. You only had 6 more blocks to go to get to the dump. That road around there was done. Those 6 blocks weren't done. It's been deteriorating, and what I don't understand is that people come up to 40th with their trucks and everything else, turn up Phillips, go right up Phillips to there, and we've got traffic all day long tearing up that road. That road looks like mess now. I appreciated last year that they came in and they gave us a little covering on our roads there, but in the reality of it is that it is highly used. You guys have put the strips down and saw what the traffic is on it, and it needs to be taken care of this year or sometime soon, because it's horrible. It's getting worse. When the next rain come in, I hate to think what it's going to look like there.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any more public comment on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any more public comment here? Please come up to the podium, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Margaret Garcia, and I'm just want to make sure I'm clear on, I had just a comment on the agenda number 5 and the consideration of Resolution 2021, and I'm assuming this is a list of road improvement areas that you're going to propose, is that correct?
You can comment on that item when it comes up, ma'am.
So this will be discussed in open
Is it-
session?
If it gets pulled from the consent.
I'd like to
agenda.
do that. Could I
Okay.
do that?
When did we come to that item?
You'll let me know?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm just curious also, how many Zoom participants are there tonight?
Are you asking how many people total are on the Zoom?
Yeah. How many people are attending this meeting?
Attendees there's one attendee.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to the consent agenda. Anybody from the council want to pull an item?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull item 5.
Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? If there's no other comment? If not-
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 5, which will be pulled for consideration immediately after.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Kramer and a second by Councilman Claffey. All in favor? Go to the electronic voting. There we go. So the results of the vote, ma'am?
Motion passes with the unanimous vote.
Okay, we'll go to item number 5, which was pulled from the consent agenda, consideration of a resolution 2022-24 to adopt a list of approved projects for submission to the California Transportation Committee for funding pursuant to SB 1. I assume Mr. Flora, are you going to address that or defer it to somebody else?
Be happy to address if I knew what the question was.
If you want to come forward and make a comment on this.
Well, first off, basically, I'm a layperson as far as this goes, but I'm just curious as to, it's the consideration of Resolution 2021, and the recommended action is to adopt Resolution 2022. So where does that 2021 end up? Is that just a...
Mr. Flora, can you explain that, or?
I guess I'm not sure what the 2020, I don't understand
It
what you're
says
saying.
consideration of Resolution 2021 is what
Okay.
Looks like it's a typo on the agenda.
Okay, so the agenda, the numbers on the agenda are reflected incorrectly. If you're to look at the staff report and the resolution itself, it's Resolution 2022-24.
Okay.
So
So
what's
you're-
reflected on the agenda is not
So
not
it
right.
just should be Resolution 2022 at the first
Yes.
item. Okay,
Yes.
well, that makes sense.
Sorry about that.
No, it makes sense. And like I would ask earlier, I'm assuming that this is the resolution and projected or proposed projects for road improvement. Is that correct? That
Okay,
is-
well, I'll give a little bit of background. So because the city is considered a self-help municipality, meaning that we have our own sales tax or revenue source dedicated specifically for road improvement, we're eligible for a special set of funds. The other jurisdictions are not. And this is under SB1. So each year, we're required to submit a list of projects that we may spend that funding on. This is, I guess, I don't know, the third year maybe of the program. We started out with 5 projects. The 2 projects that we have taken off the list because this funding source has been utilized has been the Burns Valley Civic Center project, the project right out here by City Hall, and then the second MODOC project, which the council just awarded the bid on. So these are the other 3 projects that we think are a good fit that need to be done in the city for this funding source, which is the airport road improvements, Highlands Park frontage improvement project, and then Lakeshore Drive corridor improvements. So we can put as many projects on as we want, I believe, but these are the 3 that are left. If there's another project that the council really thinks should be on here, we can certainly add that project. But this is revisited each year, resubmitted to Caltrans.
Is that to explain it to you, ma'am?
Well, as far as the projects go, as far as like the city, the airport project, I mean, isn't that?
Ma'am, this is just a list of things. In order for us to get grant funding for these projects, that's all it is.
Right, how do I get a copy of that list that is proposed? In other words, what's being proposed to Caltrans or?
Not Cal.
In other words, I'm curious as to, I know that some funding comes from taxes, gas taxes and sales tax here in the city. Other funds come from, I'm not sure. And then
SB1, that's what
you're-
he just said.
Senate Bill 1.
Okay, and
So
so I need to
the-
look that up probably and get
Yes,
a better
yeah.
idea of what that is.
Very good.
And then also, I know that you are considering taxing people.
There is an existing
And then you
Measure V
want to
tax
consider
that-
maybe another tax
No.
too? No?
No.
That's not the case?
No.
Okay, so I just really want to kind of get a grip on what's going to happen with the roads around here. There's so much that needs to be done. And then I see focus
But this
going.
is, ma'am, this is kind of outside this item, so if you want to next time come
Well,
up and
I'm
ask
just going
those
to voice my
questions, we'll be more than
opinion
happy to.
that I see a lot of projects that are new projects. The airport, the avenues, again. Whereas I think areas are being neglected and overlooked because maybe they're less income housing, less income families. So I just want to express my concern there. And,
Okay, thank you very much.
all right.
All right, we'll bring it back to council.
I'm sure the council knows this, but just for the benefit of the public, I can assure you that road projects are not planned based on income of the residents. And as you know, we're doing projects all across the city.
All right,
Mayor.
we'll bring it back to the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve Resolution 2022-24 and read by title only. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Clearlake adopting a project list for submission to the California Transportation Committee for funding under the provisions of SB1 and RMRA.
A second?
We have a motion by Councilman Kramer and a second by Councilman Claffey. We'll go to our electronic voting. All right. We'll go now to, what was the result of the vote, Madam Clerk?
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
All right, we'll go to item number 9, new business. Introduction of the first reading ordinance number 262-2022, adding chapter 11-6 of the Clearlake Municipal Code establishing edible food recovery regulations in accordance with SB 1383. Mr. Flora.
Mr. Jones is going to present this one.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I wanted to give a brief explanation of what this ordinance is and why it's come before the council. It's based on state law. It's based on SB 1383, which became a law back in 2016. And that, what it's requiring is an ordinance that establishes regulations for the city related to the creating of edible food recovery programs that's directed against commercial edible food generators like hotels, restaurants, supermarkets. Edible food is food that's, prepared for human consumption. The point of it, the policy is to reduce methane emissions. There are certain rural, we're considered a rural community, so you have some exemptions to SB 1383, but this particular component, this particular ordinance that all cities across the state are going to be adopting does apply to Clearlake. And so you really have no choice in the matter of adopting unless you don't want to be compliant with state law. But what its goal is to reduce those methane emissions by reducing how much edible food is being thrown away. The goal is to recover it and try to send it off to food banks or maybe employees of those restaurants to do something other than just sending it, letting it spoil, or letting it go to landfill. And so what this ordinance is, if you've looked at, there's a couple major components of it. It's establishing some regulations about it. There are certain tiers of types of businesses, tier 1 and tier 2, with tier 1 being supermarkets and food distributors. They need to comply immediately, whereas tier 2 restaurants and hotels of a certain size don't need to start complying until 2024. And there's an annual reporting requirement that they've got to report to the city. We have the ability to inspect it, the ability to enforce it, and potentially cite folks who aren't complying. But it's really more of an, at least for the next year, it's considered an education program where the goal is to let folks know what the mandate is and how they can comply. If you have any particular questions about what's in the ordinance, I'm happy to answer those, but you can see that there's requirements that they try to reduce the amount of food just being let spoiled or thrown away into the landfill.
You don't consider if you produce energy from it with bio?
That's not part of this, but.
All right. Well, any questions from staff? Councilwoman Overton.
So, years ago, restaurants and stuff used to give the food to homeless shelters and stuff like that, but they quit because of the liability. Because of this ordinance, are they still going to be liable if somebody happens to get sick on it? I mean, that's going to become detrimental to a business if something happens. So is this ordinance going to be waiving that?
It does not waive it, doesn't speak to that. I don't think that addresses the liability issue associated with giving away
Because that's
food.
the reason why most of them stopped doing it, because years ago, I mean, no offense, but in the 70s, I'm old enough I ran 2 restaurants and we always donated the food until there was a lawsuit in the state and everybody got involved, and then all restaurants kind of stopped doing that. But we donated to the homeless shelters or somebody homeless outside or, whatever. But once that lawsuit got filed because somebody got sick from some food that was given to them from a restaurant, pretty much that's when all the restaurants kind of stopped doing those things, So it's really great that the state wants to force us to do these things, but then who holds the liability? They're kind of losing either way they go. If somebody does happen to get sick, they're liable, but yet they get fined if they don't follow the procedures. So I think this is going to be kind of a situation that sooner or later something's gonna happen. We all know it's gonna happen. It's just when is it gonna happen? So maybe some change in this who's gonna be liable situation. So, because as a person I'd love to take the food. I'd love that they would call us and let us come pick it up and stuff like that for our senior center. So I'm not against them doing that, but it's gonna be who's gonna regulate temperature control and stuff like that. That's the part that I worry about this ordinance. And I don't think, I hate to say it, I don't think our Senate really thought this through clarity enough.
Perhaps there'll be follow-on legislation that deals with that. You really, the next year is the education component of it, and maybe they'll realize that that's an unforeseen part of it that they didn't really factor in yet.
So it's up to councils and boards of supervisors and to put forth that information, ask those questions, or citizens.
There is a component of it that says the city is supposed to put out a program to help, I guess, send out information to businesses related to it. But I don't know that the liability part of it is one we want to opine on.
I don't think we can. I think that's something that the legislation is going to have to figure out, and that's the question that we start with these things that, everybody has good ideas with all these laws, and I'm not saying that they don't. We, of course, don't want to have waste at all, Our facility, we pretty much don't waste anything. There's very little edible food that would ever go in our trash cans. We use everything. So scrapings on the dishes, that's the only thing that goes in our trash. So, but, restaurants' orders don't happen to, are they expecting them, if an order isn't complete, what do? They need to temperature control it in order to give it away to somebody. That's just the process that they have to do. So there's all these health code issues that I think if they're gonna put something like this, we need some guidelines to go along with it. And I think that's where maybe the city needs to, and the council maybe start talking about sending something into our senator with, our concerns about guidelines not coming along with this.
Councilman Kramer have additional?
Yeah, brings up a thought. How are we gonna enforce this if and when it comes in? We're gonna have the section of the police department gonna be code enforcement just going around?
It would potentially fall under code enforcement. It would be a violation of our municipal code.
Gonna go around the grocery stores and look out the back door, or what?
It gives us the ability to do that, to do audits.
I'm being a little facetious.
I understand you are.
This is what Lieutenant Snyder is going to be doing on the weekends.
Yeah.
All right, any more questions? We'll open it to the public. Any comments from the public on this item? If not, we'll close the,
Hello, Erin McCarrick, Clearlake. I just wonder if they gave you guys any resources from the state, or if there's like a group that could come together to talk about it, because when San Francisco was booming with the tech industry, a lot of the people, they had those lunches, and there was a group in the city that was like, this is silly, all these lunches are going to waste, and so they figured out a way to make it work. So I wonder if they've given you guys any resources, or if you could ask for those resources.
Well, so, there are some resources. This is an ordinance that our previous Public Works Director was working on and coordinating with. There's a group with our waste haulers and the county and the city of Lakeport. SB 1383 has a whole myriad of things. We've already adopted multiple other ordinances that were a result of this, and it's something that most cities and counties in California are very upset about. So there are, but to answer the question, there are resources available to help do that, and we're coordinating with them. It's just the timing here. We don't have the depth of knowledge about some of the stuff that's going on because of the transition that we have staff-wise with this, but the county in particular has been great about Director Lars Ewing with Public Services and helping provide resources to us and whatnot. So we're not completely on our own, but.
So the purpose of this is so there's less waste?
Methane in the landfill.
In the landfill. So if some of the restaurants does their own composting, is that okay?
Well, I do think those type of diversion things are encouraged, yeah.
All right. Councilman Overton.
Speaking of compost, that was my thing, have you heard any talk about the county actually creating a compost area where, because that's things that, people who grow gardens and stuff would purchase, so, no?
Well, I don't think so, but our waste hauler that operates out of their facility in Ukiah has created a compost facility there, so.
To me, that would be like the first thing I would think.
Yeah, I mean, they knew this was coming and
Yeah.
they initiated that
Yeah, we've been talking
preparation.
about this for a while, so, but I think, you know, I mean, we have to have some other directions on how to put this in, and this is where, like the League of Cities with all these mandates, we're trying to get this, you know, some funding into the budget of the bills, and this is part of the reason why, is we have these mandates with no coverage for expenses, and so, another thing that we need to be fighting.
Okay, anybody else from the public, you know, on Zoom, Madam Clerk, that wants to weigh in on this item?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the council. Any more discussion on the council? If not, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to accept resolution number 262-2022 and read it by title only, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clearlake amending Chapter 11 sanitation of the Clearlake Municipal Code to create Section 11-6 regulations of edible foods generators in compliance with SB 1383.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Overton and a second by Councilman Claffey. We'll go to voting.
Motion passes with the unanimous vote of the council.
Very good. We'll go to item number 10, presentation and acceptance of the annual financial report fiscal 2019-2020, and it's Resolution 2022-26. Our Finance Director, Kelsey Young.
Okay, thank you. Let me just pull up my presentation really quick. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to do a fairly quick overview of our 2019-2020 audit, and then I can open it up for discussion or any questions that you all might have. Okay, so the city has contracted with Van Lant and Fancanel, I did it okay, who have done a very thorough review of the City of Clear Lake's processes and procedures. A little bit of background, the previous auditors that we had didn't do as thorough of a review in the past, and there also were some mistakes, so the audits have taken a little bit more time than is typical for a municipality in order to correct those mistakes and really kind of get us back on track. So the 2019-2020 audit was significantly delayed due to changing the financial system. We now have a fantastic ERP system, as well as the chart of accounts. And then, as you all know, there was a little bit of turnover in the finance department as well. So our ERP system was implemented in 2020, and it is working very well, and that has alleviated most of the audit concerns.
Can you tell me what that is?
Yes, that is called Tyler Encode. So, and it is a Tyler system that we have all of our financial reporting as well as our cash receipts and other things like that. So, the few audit findings that are remaining were already in the previous audit, so I'm not going to go into them in too much detail because that is something that Chief White went over last time. But we have already seen a 38% reduction in findings, and we expect that number to continue. But I do want everyone to be aware that most of the findings that were found are still from 2019, and that was in the time where all of these processes were being implemented and were being changed. So any findings that were done do not necessarily reflect our current policies or procedures. Okay, so these were the following findings, which were considered areas of suggested improvement for us to work on. Each item is listed below, as is the solution that was put into place. So one of them was timeliness and accuracy of accounting records. And during this period of time, as we talked about, we had to revise the chart of accounts as well as implement this new system. So it's fair. The next one were controls over the city's disbursements and procurement process, as well as the credit card. Since then, we have created the procurement manual, the procurement card policy and procedures manual, and trainings have been completed in the fall of 2021, and ongoing refreshers are still going on and will continue. There were also concerns about internal controls over payroll processing, but the internal controls and separation of duties were implemented in 2020. That also is controlled by our Tyler Encode ERP system. There were also some concerns about internal controls over cash receipts, and the entire cash receipt process has been changed into another system in Tyler Encode, which was also implemented in 2020, and that whole system is completely different, and even the auditors stated that based on our new system, they no longer had a concern, but because of the time, they still needed to report this as a finding. Okay, so we've had a lot of improvements, as you all know. So there's been a ton of improvements with City Manager Flora, Chief White, while he was working as interim finance director, the finance team, and then I've been trying to work on things ever since I've gotten here as well. So we do have multiple new systems in place to track financial data, including Tyler Encode, OpenGov, DocsVault, and a couple other minor systems. So the auditor has actually been very supportive regarding the progress the city has made and has been very complimentary as well. So, updates in just this past year. We've had multiple processes and policies that have been implemented over the past year, which are including, but not limited to, because I might have forgotten a few, all of our procurement processes are now in place, our new P-card, credit card, policy procedures and trainings. We have refined our invoicing processes. We've written our fraud policies and procedure manuals. We have our accounting policies and procedures. We have our grant policies and procedures, capital asset policy and procedures, and all of our loans are up to date with a full internal audit completed. We have numerous loans that we give to the community through grant programs, far more than you typically see for a community of our size. And so we have gone through and made sure that everything was up to date and complete and accurate. We also have worked on updating all of our capital assets, and they're all entered and tracked. The finance department is fully staffed, which is exciting. The 2020-21 audit is currently underway and expected to be completed this summer. And then the 2021-2022 audit is expected to be completed in fall, and I'm not quite sure why it's not showing fall. It somehow didn't save my last change, so please excuse that. But once that is completed in fall, we will be completely back on track. So we're very excited to see that, and all of this hard work is really coming into fruition. So we're very happy to be able to share that with you. Okay, so that's it. Like I said, pretty quick. So any questions or comments?
Any comments from this? I have one comment.
Good job.
I have one comment. It looks like this is a lot more complete than I remember. This accountant came in with his little letter suitcase and came up and said, yeah, everything was good. I didn't believe that one to start with. So thank you for doing this, a very complete job. Thank you.
All right.
Any other, we'll open it to the public. Anybody from the public has comments on this item? If not, we'll bring it back to the council. Oh, anybody on Zoom? I forgot, Madam Clerk.
No comments or no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll bring it back to the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2022-26 and read by title only, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Clearlake accepting the annual financial report for the fiscal year 2019-20.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Kramer and a second by Councilman Claffey. We'll go to our electronic voting system.
Motion passes with a unanimous vote of the council.
Great, thank you. We'll go to item number 11, consideration of sale of vacant land located at 4438 Fir Avenue, Clearlake. Mr. Laura.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. So, we've been doing this almost every meeting lately, which is good to have some of the properties that we have around town put back into action, hopefully. So this is a property on Fir Avenue, and we received an offer on this for $20,000. And we would recommend that you authorize me to execute a sale agreement for this property.
Okay, any questions from council? If not, we'll open to the public. Any from the public had a question? Come on, ma'am, again, state your name.
Margaret Garcia. I'm just curious as to square footage on that property and where is Fir Avenue?
It's in the city.
Yeah, I figured that one
Good.
out, but what's the square footage on that? Maybe to be more specific.
I don't know what the square footage is. It's Fir is just north of 40th Avenue.
I'm just curious, I mean, if you're gonna sell the property, I would think you'd know the square footage of the lot off the top of your head.
Okay, well, I don't, I'm sorry. It is a little larger than normal lot, so.
It looks to me, it looks like 4 25 by 100-foot
With
lots.
parcels, that's exactly what it is.
2 parcels?
No, I said 4
One parcel.
parcels, 25 by 100, or maybe less, I don't know.
So do we have a total square footage that can be?
It looks like it
100 by
is,
100 would be about 10,000 feet.
it is .45 acres.
0.45 acres,
So that's 20,000 square feet.
and you're proposing $20,000 for the sale?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where
If
can
you would like to offer more, you're happy to talk to our realtor.
Where can I get a list of these properties that are owned by the city of Clearlake? Is that
They're on our website, aren't they, Mr. Flores?
I don't know, I don't think so. All the properties that the city owns, no. I mean,
There's on the website of the
the
county.
ones that are available for sale, you could talk to our realtor.
the city of Clearlake Realtor
Yes, Christina Price,
with, what realty company is it with?
Next Home Realty.
Next Home Realty, okay, and she
Yeah.
does all your, I'm just curious as to if there is some kind of a list of properties that are gonna go up for sale.
If they're going up for sale, she has them listed, so you can talk to her about it.
And then they'll be brought up here first as far as,
Well, the council has to authorize the sale of them, yes.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
And City Manager Flores, I understand that this property was on the MLS. This was listed for sale.
Yeah, I mean, I think we gave her the list of the ones we wanted to offer for sale, and, this is one of them. We received an offer a week or so ago, and think that it seems to be a fair price.
Yep, I see it
It
here
is a
on-
little larger than normal, but the access and things are a little bit restricted, but they are interested in putting a manufactured home on the property, so.
I see it here on Zillow. It has been listed for 128 days, so it's been out there.
Great. All right, bring it back to the council. Can I entertain a motion?
Sure. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute a sale agreement for vacant land located at 4438 Fir Avenue, Clearlake.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilman Kramer and a second by Councilman Claffey.
Motion passes with the unanimous vote of the council.
Go to item number 12, purchase of Axon Fleet 3 for the police department. I assume Lieutenant Hobbs is going to address this issue.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. The police department currently uses video and audio technology to maintain its commitment to transparency and accountability. One of the tools currently deployed is body-worn cameras. I'll refer to them as BWCs throughout this staff report. BWCs are issued to all sworn personnel. The police department previously had mobile audio and video, referred to as MAVs, in the marked police vehicles. However, the last systems were taken out of service over 10 years ago. MAV systems, in addition to body-worn cameras, offer an unbiased view of interaction between sworn department members and the community. Utilizing the MAV in conjunction with the body-worn camera is an important redundancy in order to present the most complete, accurate accounting of an incident. MAVs are especially important since body-worn cameras often have an obstructed view or dislodged during a physical altercation. The police department has identified Axon as the preferred vendor for the MAV system. Axon's Fleet 3 captures a forward-facing view of the marked police vehicle and a rear-facing view of the prisoner transport area. Axon Fleet 3 is compatible with the department's current Axon body-worn cameras. Axon Fleet 3 turns on the MAV and the body-worn cameras simultaneously when any of the selectable activation triggers are sensed. Just to give you a few of these triggers, they can be set up are activation of emergency lights and siren, collision detection, exceeding preset maximum speed, rapid acceleration, rapid deceleration, the opening of the prisoner doors in the rear of the vehicle, activation of the body-worn camera, or by manual activation. Upon activation, it captures video and audio 30 seconds in advance and remains recording video and audio until manually turned off at the conclusion of an event. The current technology also embeds ALPR in the forward-facing MAV cameras and allows all vehicles to be ALPR capable. The retention of the audio, the video, and the ALPR data is configurable to our department specifications and to adhere to local and state requirements. Axon Fleet 3 uses evidence.com, which is the same digital evidence and storage management system the department currently uses for our body-worn cameras and tasers. Evidence from the MAV will automatically be uploaded to evidence.com by Fleet 3 in the field. One feature of evidence.com will allow for the playback of different camera views in their multicam feature. That way, after an incident, you can play back the car camera with multiple body-worn cameras on the same screen, see them at the same time to get a more accurate overview of an incident. The department has obtained a quote from Axon Enterprises for a 5-year purchase agreement for Axon Fleet 3 for 17 marked police vehicles. The agreement spreads the cost of the purchase across the term, includes the devices, warranty, installation, training, and unlimited digital evidence storage. The total cost for the program over the 5-year contract is $208,637.60. The yearly cost would be $41,727. This amount will be included in budgets, the annual budget for each year. This contract, if we were to approve this today and place the order, we're looking at roughly April of next year for getting the items installed. Payments wouldn't be due till after the system is in place, so we wouldn't be looking to have to make payments till April of next year. In the budget requests for the next fiscal year, we have included the cost of this system to come out of Measure P and General Fund, so we wouldn't be asking for anything additional. That's about all I have. If there are any other further questions regarding the system, I'd be happy to answer them.
Councilwoman Overton.
One question, why is it a whole year out before we were able to get them installed? Is there a backlog?
That's the backlog with the manufacturer of getting the systems, getting out to each location to install them. These will be installed by the company. They've said that they have lots of issues with other vendors installing them, so on the initial installs, you can only have them done by them. It's included in the cost, and just the timeline as of probably 3 weeks ago when we talked with them, we were looking at April if we had this approved at this meeting.
But this amount is, once we pass this is a binding, no raise in cost, even if the raises go.
Correct, no, we will be set at this price.
Okay.
Councilman Claffey.
Lieutenant Hobbs, the city made a significant investment in ALPR cameras at our major intersections and various other strategic points. Why is it necessary to now install these on the vehicles?
The main purpose of this is not for the ALPR. The main purpose is just to have the cameras in the car to get a good view of what's in front of the vehicle, interaction there, to get the prisoner compartment, And the other main benefit is that it's with the same company we currently use for body worn camera video storage, the TASER evidence storage. A added feature that we can use is the LPR. That is not the reason we're looking at this vendor and this equipment is not for the LPR.
What would be the cost to get a similar featured system without the ALPR?
They do not offer that system currently.
Okay.
I mean, we'd have to get a price from a different vendor, which the main thing to us is the ease, using the same evidence system, which we can digitally send evidence to other agencies in the county or to the DA's office. That's the main benefit of using Axon Fleet.
Now, with the ALPR on the vehicles, does that give you the ability to respond to other infractions instead of just stolen vehicles?
No, it would be logged, we would use the same as log. You would have the stolen vehicles, felony vehicles, those types of things.
So go back to felony vehicles. What exactly does that mean?
A vehicle, so let's say a vehicle is used in a carjacking, some violent crime, the vehicle the suspects used, law enforcement gets the information on that vehicle, that would be entered into the database as a vehicle used in a felony crime. That way, if the plate is run, the officers would be advised what the vehicle was used in recently.
And so could this system expand out to flag expired tags, or if a driver potentially has an expired license?
I don't know if it can. We don't have the intention of doing that. To my knowledge, I don't think the system is designed to do that.
Okay.
And again, our use for it would be the same as what we use Flock for now, too. Notify stolen vehicles, felony vehicles.
And aside from the system limitations, there's nothing restricting you from potentially expanding the policy around that at the moment, correct?
Our policy, I guess our policy can be changed. The company, I don't think they're gonna let us make entries for things that don't meet their current requirements they allow, which would be the stolen vehicles, felony vehicles, vehicles in interest in violent crimes.
Okay, so right now the limitation is the vendor itself, not our policies.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Kramer.
Yes, Lieutenant Hobbs, you mentioned that this would come out of Measure P and general funds in your budget. Is there room in your budget without removing something else in these 5 years going forward? Is there enough?
It's anticipated right now, yes. What our plan to do would be use salary savings initially, use salary savings to pay portions of this, which in the next budget we will more likely have, and we have salary savings from this year, and we're hoping to pay earmark some of that money to pay for this.
Salary savings because you don't have
From vacant positions.
vacant positions, which of course we want to try to fill. Okay, and you mentioned you could send information digitally to other agencies, including the district attorney's office. Didn't I understand the other day that we can't get anything to them electronically yet, or?
Evidence, we give them electronic.
Oh, okay.
In custody reports that need to be there quickly, they won't take electronically.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Mayor, Chief White is on Zoom and has his hand raised, so he may want to add something if you would like for him to.
Go ahead, Chief.
Thank you, members of the council. I just wanted to address Councilmember Claffey's concern that my commitment to the council is that we would not expand or change the policy in terms of, I know there's other states that are using ALPR for like insurance enforcement and these other minor things. We're focusing on significant crimes. And so I just wanted to make sure that that's clear. We would come back to the council before making a policy change like that, irrespective of whether the manufacturer decided to change something with it. The only minor thing that I did want to be clear that it could be used for is illegal dumping enforcement. There's a lot of discussion around trying to use technology to focus on that. That would be the only case in terms of like hot list type alerting, but we don't intend to collect expired registration or anything like that using the technology now or so long as I'm the chief anyways.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, any more questions from staff? Staff, we open it up to the public. Anybody from the public wants to comment on this item? Anybody on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2022-27, and read by title only, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Clearlake authorizing the Chief of Police to enter into an agreement with Axon Enterprises, Inc. for the purchase of Axon Fleet 3.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilman Kramer and a second by Councilwoman Overton. We'll go to our electronic voting. Madam Clerk, would you mention the result of the vote?
Motion passes with a 3 vote in favor and 1 against. Councilmember Claffey against.
Thank you. All right, let's see, we'll go back to, I think we're up to City Manager and Councilmember reports. Mr. Flora.
Yes, thank you. A few updates. So the Danco 80-unit housing project closed. The transaction closed today, so that property was transferred to Danco. They closed on all their financing. It's been quite a difficult place to get to, primarily because of HCD's involvement in the transaction. But I mean, I guess there are a few delays I just want to let you know of. Officially it closed today. Recording was not allowed to happen, I guess, until Monday because the county doesn't accept recording after 1 p.m. and they also don't do any recordings on Friday. So that part of recording the documents is delayed until next week. Danco is very anxious to get started. We have their permits and everything ready to go. They expect to start construction on June 1st. So they'll be out there in just a little over a week, and we'll be excited to see that project move forward.
Will there be any ceremony for that? Or?
You know, we haven't talked to them about that. I can bring it up and see if that's, you were talking about like a groundbreaking thing. They might be willing to do this. They're probably at least a month, if not 6 weeks behind when they wanted to start, based on the timeline on when they have to be done. There's requirements on the tax credit funding, so they're very nervous about completing that in time. But I could bring that up to them and see if they want to do something.
I think it's important to kind of promote that. You know, people are always talking about stuff, so it's good to show.
Hopefully
Go ahead.
Hopefully they'll clean the grass off before we do that, though, so it'll show better.
For a job.
No, not me.
So on the Burns Valley Sports Complex, Interim Public Works Director Schwartz is going to give an update on the project that's underway now, but I wanted to give a couple other updates. So, we've applied for various funding to get the sports complex and recreation center moving. We applied for a little over $5 million from the Economic Development Administration. We did hear that we were not awarded that funding, unfortunately. The program was way oversubscribed. There's only $50 million available in the state of California. They said, our project was a pretty good one. They liked it, but it's just
It went to LA.
had to be, probably.
San Francisco or Sacramento.
So you'll recall that the council did adopt a resolution asking Congressman Thompson to request funding for this project through, we used to call them earmarks. It's officially community funding project or something like that. So Congressman Thompson has the opportunity to submit several projects to the House Appropriations Committee, and then there'll be decisions made on which ones get funded. He did select our project as one of them to move forward, so that's good. They requested some additional information from us, and hopefully we'll hear sometime in the next few months whether we're successful on that request. We also requested $3 million through California State Parks for the project. They are analyzing the projects now. We did get notification that they want to come out and look at the site and ask some questions. Doesn't necessarily mean that, they don't always look at the ones they fund. They don't always tell us that they come and look at them. They looked at the Highlands Park project without telling us. So anyway, but, we'll be there and show them the project and try to represent it well, and hopefully they'll like it. Tribal Health had a small event today for their board of directors and tribal members. They are planning on doing a soft opening on their dental facility sometime in June, and then the medical part in July. And I don't have a date yet, but they're planning a big grand opening sometime in August after they have kind of the kinks worked out. Well, there'll be a big ceremony, and I'm sure you'll all be invited to that. Let's see, the credit check is complete for our roads financing projects, and we were able to lock in a rate of 3.2%, which is good considering the situation. So still a few more steps to move forward, but I'm excited that is continuing to move along. The Icsc conference in Las Vegas is starting next week, so I've met with our retail strategies team, and they're going to be there, of course, representing the city of Clearlake and some of the opportunities that we have. So a couple of weeks after that, we'll get some type of full report on the results there. And then one final thing, you saw that there was appeal of the abatement order for the restaurant on Lakeshore Drive, and I'm thinking that it may work best. I'm expecting this to be, based on previous involvement in this project, it to be somewhat lengthy time commitment. So in working with City Clerk Swanson and code enforcement, we're thinking that a special meeting the afternoon of June 7th, say like at 3 o'clock. So it's the same day as our next regular meeting, but I think it might work better if we could do it that afternoon. So I want to kind of get a temperature of the council on whether that will work, and then we'll check with the appellant.
What time?
We're thinking 3 o'clock.
June 7th?
2nd.
2nd. Yep.
June 2nd?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should work.
Good.
Yeah, that might be a lengthy meeting.
Well, I mean, we'll try to, the municipal code is fairly specific on the issues that are supposed to be considered as part of that appeal, so we'll do our best to share that with you and try to keep it on track. But, it's the same set of circumstances that are in play for the appeal that I heard, and, it was definitely a lengthy hearing. So anyway, we'll try to confirm that the appellant's available, and then we'll plan on that. So I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Schwartz, and he's going to give a couple updates on some of the projects we're working on now, if that's okay.
Good evening, Mayor Slutin, members of the council. I'll be speaking about 5 projects, kind of just giving you brief updates on them. Burns Valley Development, Sulfur Fire, the Splash Pad Chip Seal Project, and what we call Second Modoc Street Improvement Project. I'll start with Burns Valley Development since it's the freshest project, and it's ironic, as Alan was talking about it, it's really a centralized hub of what's going on for both the Danco development, because it's at the northeast corner of the Danco development, and we've actually integrated that into our future planning. And also with some of the construction work that we've done as a result of that, we call it the water tie-ins with Highlands Water, that actually provided a huge benefit and help to the Indian Tribal Health to get open because of lacking fire protection. So we had an interconnection water line anyhow, and so we kind of, through Alan's efforts, had developed kind of this partnership with them, and that's worked out really well. And that water tie-in just got completed this past week, so, and it was a success. So I just wanted to bring that forth. also. We're working on currently on the Burns Valley development we call Phase 1, which is essentially the entryway roadway, which will pave up to a curb return, which is at the intersection of the overall planned development, and it'll be gravel from there or aggregate base. It'll take a left-hand turn to the west and head into where we're going to be building at some point in time, hopefully in the near future, a new public works yard, facility, and shop and workspace. So Phase 1 is coming along quite nicely. You can see for yourselves the curb and gutter is completed. The full depth reclamation in the public works yard area is completed. All the underground wet utilities are completed. The water tie-ins, as I mentioned, are completed. So that project's coming along pretty well, and we're kind of anticipating that project to be completed in about 3 weeks, which will also promote, and then Mudslingers Coffee House, as far as I know, is going to be opening up a facility right there in the corner of Burns Valley Drive in what we call Road A. So the next one is Sulfur Fire, and I'm happy to report that the paving on that project is complete. We had a monumental effort on monitoring and working on that paving job because we were all so tentative, and I think we planned for the worst of worst case scenarios, and I think we were very, very fortunate to get that job completed with really relatively few. I mean, considering the size of the projects, you know, it was a success. We were just so concerned about underground utilities and water lines. It's a lot of work going on out there. So we were very pleased with that. So the paving is now complete, but the project's not complete. We're installing some AC dike on various sides of the roadways. I saw the guardrail folks in town today. I kind of assumed they're finished. On their schedule, they only had a day's worth of work, is what they told us. So I'm going to assume that the guardrails were done. We're raising utility covers now. We just today moved the messaging board over to the intersection of Country Club and Lakeshore Boulevard. The gooseneck area is now being excavated and worked on. That's going to be a concrete section of roadway there. That's going to be closed for about 30 days. Also happy to report that we're on budget. In fact, I think we're like on budget, which is pretty incredible for a project of that size and complexity. Also, you may be getting some questions like on the paving if it's completed, and so we're doing a lot of, we're going to be installing a tremendous amount of base rock that's going to be backfilling those pavement edges. I know that Councilman Kramer and I kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, and where you'll see sometimes people have driveways and there's a little bit more of a lip that's been created there because of that 2 inches of extra paving. We're going to be coming back, and we're going to be installing base rock on all those locations. So pretty much the entire length of the project. The other thing I wanted to bring up about that project is it's not a drainage enhancement project. And I just want to be real clear so the council can know and they get questions from the public. When we looked at that project, to have solved the multitude of drainage problems that exist on that project, it would have more than doubled the cost of the project and created a litany of not only complex problems, but potential litigation issues because of, trying to, when you move drainage from one location to another, it has these unintended consequences. So the drainage improvements that we did out there were to enhance what was there. Side yard, or the roadside swells, for example, you can see rock in them. We tried to redo all the drainage inlets that existed. We tried to redo all of the pipes that existed. So if there was an area that had chronic flooding before the project, it's probably going to have chronic flooding after the project. It wasn't a drainage project. I just want the council to know that, but we had a reason. I can talk to you more individually about that, but it was well thought out, and we have a method of why we did that. Moved on to the splash pad. Here at Austin Park, that splash pad construction is due to start on June the 6th, and we're thinking that the splash pad should be opened around July the 29th. The bids came in at $330,000, which was on what we had estimated. That was we actually had rejected the first round of bids, and we had rebid the project, and then the equipment, I think, was ordered and should be delivered in the next couple of weeks, and that equipment was about $98,000. We are going to be putting out another project to bid on May the 26th, which is 10 miles of double chip seal. And it's at lots of locations in town. We're going to prepare a map for Alan and the public, and we're going to post that map on the website of where all the chip sealing is going to go. And happy to provide you copies of that as well. The estimate.
Quick question. Can you, like, color code it where we have done chip seals, each year kind of thing, so people can see the progression of it?
Yes, well, I'll just aggregate that to chip seal only, if that's okay. So I'll do the test strip, which was like 1 mile, and then last year's 5 miles, I'll do that in a different color, and then the 10 miles in a third color, if that's okay.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay, great.
Educational for everybody to see.
Yep. And then the last project I'll cover with real quickly is we call the Second and Modoc. Obviously, those two run in together. They cross at Sonoma, starting at Arrowhead and going to Eastlake. It's about a mile's worth of pavement rehabilitation. That construction has already bid. That bid results on that were about $923,000. We have about $200,000 in state funding, so that's going to offset some of the cost. And that's construction is due to start on July the 5th.
People will be so happy.
Just a couple of comments. The guardrail people were out and end caps were installed. Thank you. There are a lot of things other people in the neighborhood are somewhat concerned about speeding now. I mean, I guess that's a byproduct of having nice roads. So that's something that we need to, I think the Traffic Safety Committee needs to look at that and see where some places are that we might have to put some signage and things like that to keep people from speeding too much there. And I think there were like already 2 incidents of people running off the road. I don't know if that was because of speed or other things, but we need to look at that. Thank you.
Is signage in that original contract?
No new signs. I'll have to get back to you. I don't remember. There's striping in the project. I know that, but I can't remember what we're doing on signage.
But it looks awesome. Everybody is really, really happy. And the question is on Gooseneck. Will there be a connection between Lakeshore, north of Gooseneck, and San Joaquin, or is that going to stay open partly or is it going to be closed completely?
The gooseneck itself will be closed completely.
So if I drive into town, I have to go on, or all the way around?
Correct. You'll have to come all the way in on San Joaquin, or you can come in San Joaquin and drop down at Country Club. If you prefer, you can take Mendocino, but that's a more difficult.
He's just trying to get home.
Instead of driving around on Sulphur Bank Road, that's what I'm getting at. No, thank you, it looks awesome, a lot of great comments, and I don't know how many complaints you've gotten from the construction out there, but I suspect that there were more kudos in how it was done and how fast it was done and how it looks than complaints.
No, we just get complaints. No news is generally good news the other way.
Yeah.
We have developed a strategy for managing complaints on a weekly basis. So we, at our weekly Wednesday meetings, we talk about what complaints either the contractor or the inspectors on site have gotten, and either Adeline, myself, or Rich, the inspector, we get back with everybody and try to mitigate those as much as possible before they get to Alan and to y'all. And so, some of them will make it eventually, and those would be ones that we're unable to mitigate.
Well, I've gotten only one, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I've only gotten one too, but it's been about continuous.
All right, anybody have a question?
Thank you.
Any more from
That's
you,
it.
Alan? Okay. Councilman Kramer.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Meetings I've been to, APC, LTA this last week is pretty standard fare. Did get our budget introduced, and it'll be voted on, I think, the next meeting, which will be June 1st, actually. Also, the ongoing Lake Links, still looking for a new program manager is what the position name will be. And if anybody has got somebody that they think might be qualified or in mind or interested, please let me know. I'll get you the information on that. And we are trying to get it out. I think it's on our website. Lower Lake Community Action Group, we're getting prepared for our Lower Lake Days, Memorial Day, actually Sunday, May 29th celebration. Last count, we have 64 vendors on the street fair, which is kind of amazing. I think we had 50 last year, so we expect there to be a pretty large crowd, and we'd hope to see all of you there. Last week I also met with several members of Bureau of Land Management, CAL FIRE, Supervisor Sabatier, clerk personnel. There was about 15 people out looking at east of the end of Davis Street, the second phase or phase 2 of the fuel reduction project that hopefully will be going on to phase 3, which will include some prescribed burning, probably not this year, but next year. So that's about all.
Councilman Claffey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got to fill in for Vice Mayor Purdock at the Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Authority meeting. City of Clear Lake in Q1 tagged over 170 abandoned vehicles. Amazing job by that team. Other interesting news potentially for residents is the talk of a vehicle amnesty day sometime this fall, either September or October. They're still working out the details on that, but I wanted to give you a heads up if anyone has questions for you. And then the other thing was the wonderful Blue Zones event last weekend. Thank you to everyone in the city staff, PD, fire department, everyone who was out there helping. I made a joke that basically everyone in the city of Clear Lake was manning a booth, and it seemed like that, but so many people showed up, and it just shows all the work that we're doing. There are people that are benefiting from it. So keep up the good work. To everyone who participated in that, thank you, and we're looking forward to doing more like that.
Councilwoman Overton.
Okay, this week was our clean water meeting. Very interesting. We're working on trying to get somebody to be able to run that program. I believe the county and the cities are working together on that because staff just, they need some direction on that, some professional people that can spend some time on it. So I'm really hoping that kind of goes through so that we have some reports and stabilities with that committee and our testing of our waters. Blue Zone was awesome. We were I participated in it as the Highland Senior Center and the Park Study Club. And I had another booth, but I couldn't do it all, so it was like they had to go away. So sorry about that. But it was great. Everybody seemed to love it. I got a lot of comments of they were really hoping that it gets, that they're going to do it again next year. And I informed them that they did plan on doing that, and I hope that sticks with that. So I think it was a great event. And then the only other thing I have is our Highland Senior Center is having our first fundraiser. So we're doing it's going to be a Friday night dinner and mystery. So it's going to be a mystery dinner on Friday night. We're going to try not to interfere in other people's activities through the weekend, and that's on June 3rd. And people can purchase tickets on our website or call our office. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody there and support us. $50 a ticket. But it's a show and a dinner, so it'll be fun. And our very own David Clafferty is one of our main characters, and Bruno Sabatier is our other character. So we have some of our wonderful politicians helping us out, so we appreciate that.
That's an interactive dinner then, huh?
It is a very interactive dinner. I'm going to say it's a 1932, so dress in the 30s, come and have a good time, and we'll everybody gets involved. So come be the detective and solve the mystery.
All right. I attended the LAFCO meeting yesterday, and the South Lakeport annexation was there was a protest vote that made the South Lakeport annexation to go to a vote of the registered voters, which is kind of an interesting process, since it's like 136 acres total, but there are only 18, as far as we know at this point, registered voters. And landowners cannot vote, but registered voters can. So there's some interesting dynamics going on. I think the whole process has been somewhat difficult, both from a logistic part, the way LAFCO staff has handled this. It's been kind of pathetic, but that's just my personal opinion at this point.
It's been sitting there for a while,
So that's about it. Any future agenda items? I think a lot of the public comments today were about moratorium, so at some point in time, we need to take that up as a agenda item for the council to discuss that. So maybe not next time, but at some point in the future, we need to deal with that. So, all right. Anything else? Anybody a do-over? If not, we adjourn to closed session. 5-minute break.